Oil prices have gone up. I want to talk about crude oil inventories dropping. We're going to watch an interview with Jeff Currie. He's one of the commodities experts over there at Goldman Sachs, and he's making some estimates that will excite anybody in the oil and gas industry. I want to talk about Saudi Arabia's recent OPEC decisions with Russia. A lot of good news happening in the oil and gas industry. I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like this channel, please subscribe. I talk about oil and gas news. Right now, WTI crude, $61.45 a barrel. Brent crude, $64.86. Let's watch this video by Jeff Currie. He's the Goldman Sachs global head of commodities research. He is an economist and the global head of commodities research in the global investment research division of Goldman Sachs. So he knows what he's talking about. This is all he does for a living. He rose to prominence during the 2000s by forecasting the commodity supercycle in oil spiking above $100 a barrel, which he was correct, okay?
I think the bigger point is what's going on the demand side. The demand numbers rock solid in the U.S. I think there's two things we want to point out about the demand picture is that, one, it's not just mobility and a rebound in services in the U.S. Today's ISM shows that, hey, it's part of manufacturing. And I think the other point, too, is that when we look at growth right now, and this was apparent with the PMI in Germany last week, is that it's not just about China and commodities. The West is a very important part of this overall story. So it's broader across the economy and it's broader across geography. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have the lockdowns in Europe, but we think that that's a temporary speed bump.
So, Jeff, that's the demand side. I'm wondering how you looked at the supply side in relation to OPEC. I mean, part of the conversation was that Russia and Kazakhstan were going to want another exemption, but the UAE and Iraq were going to say, no way, not again. We want to sell the oil that we want to sell. What kind of pressure do you think we saw from them?
Well, when you look at the rest of OPEC, 20% of them cannot reach their quota right now because of underinvestment. Mm-hmm. The fact that Saudi Arabia could cut production by 11% and watch prices rise by 40%, and we still not see a supply response in the current environment is telling you that in the very near term, supply is nearly inelastic. And those that have the capacity, which are primarily core OPEC, which is the GCC countries and Russia, are sitting on all the spare capacity that really matters. So we'll probably see some of that increase in coming weeks. But I think the key message here is supply is mostly inelastic right now.
You've laid out the demand story. You've laid out the supply side. How do prices go higher from here? Given the setup that we're seeing with what OPEC is doing, the story in the States, we know what's happening in Europe, but we're looking through that. It's all in the market, Jeff. Where do prices go? Can they be more elevated?
Our target's $80 a barrel on a Brent basis in 3Q. I think as you heard it from OPEC themselves, they expect demand to be up 3 million barrels per day over the next 3 months. Their supply is up 1 million. That means that the deficit that we're already in is likely to accelerate. We do expect inventories to be normalized by sometime late 3, early 4Q, at which point we need to start talking about bringing on new production. And that goes back to that point. There's no investment going on in any of these markets. I mean, you've seen a small increase in drilling in the U.S., but nothing really that significant. I think the bigger point, thinking about not only is there strong demand going on in energy and metals and, across the commodity complex, there's no investment in supply. Saudi faces an inelastic supply curve near term. The planning intentions came out yesterday. Big disappointment. We've seen no greenfield investment in metals. Production in Latin America, in Chile, the exports are down 20%. I can keep the list going on and on and on. We don't have supply of these commodities. We got a lot of demand. Inventories are drawing. The upside here, I think, is substantial across the commodity complex.
So one of the things that I want you to focus on is that the thing that Jeff said was there's not enough investment in the oil and gas industry to supply the demand, okay? Demand is increasing, and with the fact that we're not investing enough money in commodities such as oil, you're going to see a higher demand for the product without enough production. Okay. Our inventories are dropping right now. We're in a deficit of about 3 million barrels of oil a day right now, and it's only going to increase. In OPEC and Russia, they are balancing the markets based upon that. Okay. And so I want to talk about the recent meeting between OPEC, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. Oil prices rise after OPEC agrees to gradually increases output this summer. Okay. The OPEC Plus ministerial meeting is discussing gradual production increases over the next 3 months. The OPEC Plus alliance is reportedly debating raising its oil output by 350,000 barrels a day in each of May, June, and by 400,000 barrels a day in July. Now, they're debating this, okay? This is not in stone. Key ministers of Russia and Saudi Arabia spoke at the opening of the meeting and had somewhat of diverging views. Russia appeared more optimistic about oil demand recovery in the market as a whole, while Saudi Arabia hinted at a very cautious approach. Now, here's the deal. Russia's a power broker in the Middle East. They have power, they have military force, and they are not afraid to use it. For instance, Iran needs Russia in order to skirt the sanctions of America, prevent them from selling oil. So Russia's reportedly and clearly has helped Iran, has helped Venezuela. Look, if you want to sell oil and if America's coming down on you hard, Putin's your man. But if you do business with the devil, get ready. He's going to call in his favors. So there's a lot of people in the Middle East that are calling in favors on Putin. And so he's a power broker, but he also brokers information. He knows things that Saudi Arabia does not. That's number one. Number two, Russia is pulling the strings of Iran and the Houthi rebels. One bomb dropped in the Middle East, oil prices go up $1 a barrel, $2 a barrel, $5 a barrel. Okay. Russia is pulling the strings of the Houthi rebels. Proxy wars happen all the time, and Russia is using these military forces to drop bombs on key oil facilities to control oil prices. Okay. So the fact they come into this meeting with confidence, they have an ace up their sleeve that Saudi Arabia cannot see. They're coming in there with an arrogance of pride saying, look, if oil prices drop, we're going to drop a bomb on you, Saudi Arabia. You don't even know what you're talking about. The situation on the global oil market has improved since last month's OPEC Plus meeting. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said in a speech, but the Saudi minister said that until the evidence of the recovery is undeniable, we should maintain this cautious stance. Okay. And so Saudi Arabia is cautious, as where Russia, they're bulls. And they're operating in pride and power. The Saudi remarks had analysts speculate that there would be another rollover of the current cuts. As the meeting advanced to the session closed to reporters, media outlets began to report various sources as saying that there would be an increase in the group's production over the next 3 months. Okay. Now, here's the thing, guys. If the gentleman, Jeffrey Currie here, who is bullish on oil prices, that this is what he does for a living. I mean, he's the top guy over at Goldman Sachs, not because he looks good. Okay. It's because he knows what he's talking about. He has a PhD in this, and all he does is focus on the oil commodity trade. Okay. And so he's got more information at his fingertips than most people on this planet, and he is bullish on oil prices. Okay. He is very positive when it comes to the demand side, and he is telling us, look, guys, we're not investing enough money in oil, and the demand is increasing. It's going to be a mess, guys. Look, this is what I've been saying for years, and here we are. Okay. And so I truly believe that oil prices are going to come in a strong way. All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.